Hi, this is Donna from the Cooking Dixie Chicks, and I'm here today to show you another favorite recipe. This one comes from, or was suggested by my grandson Jeffrey, who is now in his 20s, but still remembers and expects that when I come to visit that I'm going to be making twice baked potatoes. And he said, Grandma, why don't you do a video of how to make the twice baked potatoes, and then we're gonna always know how. And I will tell you that it is a very, very simple recipe. Also, another recipe with very few ingredients. As you can see, I have many of them lined up here. Obviously, you need your potatoes, and you can really pick whatever kind of potato that you want. Idaho, russets, the golden ones. Also, you need some shredded cheese, onions if you would like, that is also optional, salt and pepper to taste, bacon for part of the topping, butter, and then I use a dairy-free alternative for sour cream, only because of my husband's needs, but sour cream is actually what you're going for. All right, so let me first start with how we get these potatoes started. Obviously, you have cleaned the potatoes, and I'm going to spray 4 potatoes with some olive oil on all sides so that they can capture the salt that I'm going to sprinkle on them before we put them in the oven. And in the oven at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes until you can poke the potatoes and they feel soft. So first of all, obviously, you do want to pierce the potatoes. And the reason you want to do that is so that they don't explode in the oven. I think anyone out there who is looking for recipes to cook already know that. And you can see that I'm sprinkling the salt on it after I have sprayed it with the olive oil. Next, I am going to put more salt on the opposite side. And I am going to pierce, and I am going to pierce this side as well so that our potatoes steam while in the oven and they don't blow up. All right, I'm gonna put these in the oven that has been preheated to 400 degrees, and they're going to bake for 30 minutes. And when they come out, I'll be back and we'll start the next phase of our twice baked potatoes. So right now, we're going in for once baked, and soon we'll be doing the twice baked. Hi, welcome back. I have pulled the potatoes out of the oven, and it did take longer than 30 minutes for them to bake through and be soft, but we are there now, and I have already worked some of them in order to save time by hollowing them out. And as you can see, my suggestion is to, when you pull the stuffing for the potato out, that you maintain its structure by leaving some of the potato in along the skin so that it will hold together. So I still have a couple more pieces that I'm going to demonstrate how to do just by staying away from the edge of the potato. And taking out just enough to keep the potato nice and firm, or the skin nice and firm. And then this is going to be the base for the twice baked part. So we're going to restuff the potato, but it's going to have lots of goodies in it. And what you put in it is really determined pretty much by what do you want to have in it. All right, so let's continue going, and this will work best with a fork. Now, some people do like to mix the stuffing for the potatoes with a hand mixer, but I prefer to just do it by hand. So here's what I have, the stuffing from the potatoes, And I had 4 potatoes that now have turned into 8 halves that are going to be stuffed here in a few minutes. Put this right here. And for the moment, what we're going to do is we're just going to start mashing the potatoes. And what we're going to do in order to moisturize this is start adding some of the ingredients that I was talking about earlier. Now, this does not have to be perfectly smooth. In fact, I like to make the twice bakes where they are a bit chunky going into the potato, back into the potato. So I have butter. I have my sour cream, but for me, I'm using a sour cream substitute so that it's good for lactose intolerant people, but sour cream is what you need. And those are the 2 things that add the moisture back into the potato. And so I'm going to go ahead and put, and just, sort of guess, what I've probably put here is about 2 tablespoons of butter. And then I'm going to put a lot of sour cream because you really want what is in your potato to be nice and fluffy and juicy. So I am putting pretty much this whole thing of sour cream, and it's 8 ounces of sour cream that I have put in here. Now I'm going to mix it, and so you're going to see that it's getting actually not liquidy, but looser in the sense that it's going to be really delicious and ready to bake a second time. Now, potatoes, as you know, and have probably always heard, can take a lot of salt. And so I'm going to put in some heaping finger pinches of salt. So 2 great big pinches of it. And then pepper is very important. And if you're into jalapenos, you can do that. But we're not so much into it here in the family. And I do like to put diced onions in. I like to have a little surprise in the twice bakes. So I just put a few pinches in. That was probably about 2 tablespoonfuls there. Now I am saving my shredded cheese and also my bacon, which I have already toasted in the microwave. So I'm saving these things for the topping, except what I like to do, and the kids love it, is I like to take the shredded cheese and put some at the very bottom of each of these hollowed out shells. And remember that the outside of this potato is going to be very tasty because we put the olive oil on it and we put some salt on it. And so every bit of this potato is going to be very edible and very tasty. So before we even stuff this, we already have something really delightful at the base of it. All right, so I'm going to continue to mix this. Salt, pepper, sour cream, butter, and we have some shredded cheese at the base of it. And we're going to top it with more shredded cheese and our bacon. So now that we have stirred that, I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to start stuffing the potatoes. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put the filling right back into it. And what I try to do to make sure that I have enough to go around to now 8 portions of potato, I start out moderately. I don't want to overstuff until I am sure that I can fill all of the potatoes. Anyway, these are easy, and just to give you a little bit of history on them, I learned pretty quickly that all kids like potatoes, whether it's a French fry whether it's a baked potato with butter and cheese on it, they like them. Mashed potatoes with gravy, you can get kids to eat potatoes. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna do something that they're gonna look forward to Grandma making every time she comes. So one of my go-tos is always twice baked potatoes. So I thought that was interesting when I sort of, got on the phone and started calling the grandchildren and finding out, okay, what is it that Grandmama makes that you always look forward to? And lo and behold, my oldest grandson, 20 years old now, Jeffrey, says, Grandma, it's gotta be your twice baked potatoes. And sure enough, when I get to his house, to the house where he lives with his siblings, or lived before, it would always be, are you making those twice baked potatoes? So that was pretty cool, because who doesn't want to be loved and appreciated for what they're gonna make for dinner? All right, so as you can see, I have stuffed the potatoes again with the basic ingredient. Now we have two more things that are left. We have the bacon, and we also still have onions here, which we do like the chopped onions. And you can also use the, you can use other things if you want to. And we have more of our shredded cheese. So what I'm gonna do is put more shredded cheese across the top before it goes back into the oven, because we want it to toast and for there to be plenty of cheese pretty much dripping off of these potatoes. Now, we're going to also add some onion. As much or as little as you want, or if you do not want to put onion on, that's okay too. These will cook in the second cooking of this. Now remember, everything except for these onions has already been cooked. So all you're really doing is heating it up and getting things to sort of, the flavors to meld together. So now we're adding our bacon, which we pre-cooked, and I chopped it up and put it across the top. Make sure you save enough to go all through. And don't leave anything behind. No bacon left behind. And if you feel like you need a little bit more pinch of salt, now's a good time to add it. Another pinch of pepper. All right, and there we are, and we are ready. And I've been preheating the oven again, this time to 350 degrees, and I am going to put it on. I'm going to put this in the oven for 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna check it to see how it looks at that time. I may let it go a little longer, but our objective at that time is to make sure that everything on the top looks nice and toasty and ready for somebody to actually try. So I will see you back, and I'll bring it out as a finished product, and you can see what it will look like. And by then, we can call them officially twice baked potatoes by Cookin' Dixie Chick. See you in a little bit. I'm back, and I have our twice baked potatoes out of the oven. As you can see, we now have 8 twice baked potatoes, nice and crispy and browned on the top. And I think it's only appropriate that we pull one out of the casserole dish. Let's just take a little one here, put it into a plate, and see what it looks like when we have pulled it apart, so that you can anticipate what it should look like when your guests are eating it. And as you can see, it's stuffed, it's nice and soft, it's very steamy. And let's have a taste. Remember that the stuffing was put together with cheese, butter, cream cheese, onion in our case, and salt and pepper. And you can see some of the cheese is still stringy. Very delicious. And when I get finished eating the insides, I am going to be eating the outside because this potato skin was cleaned thoroughly and was rubbed in olive oil and salted so that when it was baked, it also would be equally delicious along with the rest of the potato. You can't beat that. So my grandson Jeffrey would be happy to have a casserole full of twice-baked potatoes like this. So goodbye again from Cookin' Dixie Chicks, and stay tuned for another recipe that will be easy to make and something that your family will enjoy for years to come.